Outside of this one church town, there's a gold dirt road to a whole lot of nothing. Got a deed to the land, but it ain't my ground. This is God's country. We pray for rain and thank Him when it's falling, 'cause it brings a grain and a little bit of money. We put it back in a plate, I guess that's why they call it God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. We turn the dirt and work until the week's done. We take a break and break bread on Sunday, then do it all again, 'cause we're proud to be from God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. God's country. I don't care what my headstone reads or what kind of pine wood box I end up in. When it's my time, lay me 6 feet deep in God's country. I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country. Yeah, I saw the light in a sunrise, sitting back in a 40 on the muddy riverside, getting baptized in holy water and shine with the dogs running. Saved by the sound of a pin-found Dixie whistle in the wind, that'll get you heaven bound. The devil went down to Georgia, but he didn't stick around. This is God's country.
Guys, I don't know about you, man, but when I hear that song, it just fires me up. You know what I mean? God's country. You know what I mean? And we're part of that God's country. And you know what? Before I say anything else, I think somebody has their phone on or something. Okay, good. So whoever turned it off, thank you. Guys, I just want to say something. Last night we had a special guest on the Gray Line, and Rick Prado, former CIA agent, CIA specialist, agent, operator, etc. It was a great episode. If you get a chance, watch it. But he said something that was very interesting. And I think one of you guys, please check. I think your music is on. I think somebody is watching the show live, guys. Please check. Make sure nobody has the show on live, because we could hear it. I could hear it. Guys, but I just want to quote something that he said. He says, "I am who I am today because I walked in the shadows of giants." And guys, with that said, today we have a giant amongst us. We have literally a giant today. I was talking to him. We were texting each other. Send me a great article that he's just finished writing on China, drug addiction, etc. And this is a giant among giants in law enforcement. We got none other than the giant himself, Rich Valdemar, former detective sergeant with the Los Angeles Sheriffs and a legend among legends. Rich, welcome to the show, brother. We love you. Thank you, man.
Thanks for coming on, Rich.
Thanks, Rich.
Welcome.
Hey, my brothers in Christ, man, and bless your ministry.
That's right.
Yes.
Thank you, brother. We're honored to have you. But guys, before we get started, let's go real quick. Welcome everybody. Ceci Escano's been with us from the very beginning, watching us all the way from Riverside. Gracias, hermana. We got Jim the Janice, Batman. Once again, brother, thank you very much for that article you just wrote on becoming a correctional officer. Outstanding. All the way from Thailand. We got San Diego PD, gang detective, robber detective legend, Chris Kilby. We got Mike Martinez. You're going to get a call from Benny probably next week, Mike. We're going to have you on our show all the way from Littleton, Colorado. Amos Otis. Saludos from Chino Hills. Welcome. And we got Darren S. He's going to be coming on next year talking about the PSA, a big accident that happened in 1978 in San Diego, North Park. He's going to be joining us. It's going to be a great episode. And Amos says Rich Valdemar is a true legend. We agree with you wholeheartedly. Guys, before we get started, let's talk about real quick what we're drinking. And we'll start off with you, Doug. The $1 Million Man always has a $1 million bottle. Tell us, brother.
This is a Scotch, a 12-year-old Scotch. It's called Glen Rothus. It's very nice. It's a spy side. Single malt. It's got a bite at the beginning, but it's got a really nice finish. Vanilla, bananas. I can taste bananas and a little bit of cinnamon. But it's nice. It's about $65. It's a pretty good price point for it. But it's a really nice bottle.
But do they sell it at Costco?
I have not seen it at Costco.
I'm messing with you, brother. I'm messing with you. Big Mark, what do you got for us, Sean? Big Sean.
Since we went to Palm Springs and I searched high and low because you know what? We're going to have to take Doug off of here because I'm going to go broke buying bottles like he's showing up. But I went and got the Tweeling.
That's good.
Nice.
That's good.
So Dave and I had one or two, maybe three glasses at the conference outside. And it's good. It's smooth. About 2 bottles, so I have an extra one over here.
It was good. And Bobby, what are you smoking and what are you drinking, my brother? Surprise us.
I'm smoking the 6. Can't even lift my arm. My shoulder's still bothering me. The 601 Espinosa, the Maduro Napalm. It's a strong stick. It's this one right here. And I'm not drinking till probably November. So I'm drinking coffee, and I made a mistake last week. I made myself a Cuban colada. It's a Cuban espresso. It's like liquid crack. I don't think I slept for 2 days. So I'm just drinking a regular black coffee with my cigar.
Bobby, I don't know about you, Bobby, but I can't smoke a cigar after 5 o'clock. It keeps me awake. It keeps me awake. And you know what? Well, we're both the same age, 65 years old. It keeps me awake, but it obviously doesn't bother you, right?
No, but that coffee got me, and I was like, I found myself in front of a pink Waffle House barefoot begging for smokes at 3 in the morning.
Hey, Bobby, have you ever smoked a Gurkha Spec Ops?
No, I haven't. I've heard of it, but I have never smoked it.
Dude, the first time I smoked that, I was teaching up in San Luis Obispo, and we were doing a night shoot. And I was so friggin' wired. I'm catching brass as they're firing it out their handguns. I go, okay, you ready to go? Dude, I thought I was on meth.
Good thing you weren't shooting.
Great cigar, Bobby. And Rich, I don't know if you're drinking water, whatever you're drinking, you want to share with us if you are drinking something. If not, no worries, my brother. I think he froze on us.
Yeah, he froze up.
You know what? He'll come back on. He'll come right back on. You know what? He's in his home in Arizona, so I think his internet might be a little off. But guys, as he logs back in, Sean, it's all yours.
I just want to pay my respects, and I give a shout out to one of my former partners out at Eastern Division before we did the Mid-City split. Ron, I can't say enough about him. We had so much fun riding around together, working the boulevard. I mean, he was a crack up. And there are so many stories we could tell. There was one B girl that she loved him and he hated her. And we would see her on the boulevard, and immediately, it's, hey, go stop that car. All right. And this one time we stopped this car, and he got her out of the car, and I'm talking to the driver, and it's a Navy guy, and he's of Asian descent. And I said, so who's the young lady in the car? And he goes, that's my sister. And this girl is whiter than a piece of paper, right? And I'm going, no, let's try that again. And then, he finally gave it up, and we let him go. But oh man, he was so much fun, and I was sad to hear that he had come down with dementia, and that was put out like last week, and then a couple of days ago he passed. Again, so long, Ron. We'll see you someday, and we'll talk about all the other crap that we did out on the boulevard.
Salud. May you rest in paradise. May you rest in paradise.
Yeah.
Guys, because like I said earlier today, this is Bobby's month, but we're going to trade a day. He's going to be covering the last week when I have next month in November. We invited Rich Valdemar. We just lost him, but I'm waiting for him to come back on. Guys, as he comes on, he's going to talk about the cocaine fentanyl drug epidemic that China is providing all the precursors to Mexico. And he wrote a beautiful article about it, very interesting. We're going to hear him talk about it when he comes on. But before we do, we said we were going to talk about some current events. This just came out, and I'm going to go ahead and play the video, and then let's talk about it. See if it's true, if it's false, if it's exaggerated, and let's talk about it as a group of former police officers. Here we go.
Security issuing an alarming warning saying Mexican cartels are now attempting to track, harass, and target immigration and border patrol agents with violence. These alleged threats come as tensions rise here in the U.S. over crackdowns in Chicago and Portland. Here's Pierre Thomas.
Tonight, Homeland Security officials say they're seeing intelligence that Mexican cartels are attempting to track, harass, and target immigration and border patrol agents with violence. In a statement late today, the department warned that cartels are offering $2,000 for gathering intelligence on federal officials and their families, often with the goal of doxing them. $5,000 to $10,000 for kidnapping or non-lethal assaults, and up to $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials. The alleged new threats come amid rising tensions in Chicago and Portland involving immigration officials conducting broad deportation sweeps. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem telling President Trump in a recent cabinet meeting that she's stepping up security.
We're hardening all of our buildings and making sure that we have more security measures, snipers on the roof, people to protect our law enforcement while they're out there on the streets.
Sources telling ABC News the intelligence has been developed by Homeland Security, FBI, and DEA officials. Authorities calling the intelligence evidence of a structured bounty program to incentivize violence against federal personnel. David, Homeland Security officials fear that the cartels may inject themselves into an already tense situation where tension about the administration's deportation campaign is steadily rising. David?
We'll, of course, continue to track this.
Bobby, you and I are the experts. We worked in Mexico. We're the experts when it comes to Mexico, and you're still heavily involved in Mexico. We're going to hear you at the end, and I'll talk also at the end. But let's start off with Doug. Doug, when you saw this, it just came out yesterday, and today's all over the news. What's your opinion on it? And then we'll go to you, Sean, and then we'll end it with Bobby. Go ahead, Doug.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, I know they just arrested a guy that was one of the gang leaders in Chicago. He had done the same thing on TikTok. He put out a bounty on some federal agents. I guess it was, and there was one that was specific for like the commander, the Border Patrol camp commander that's out of that area up there in Chicago and Illinois. At first I thought, well, those were kind of light on the money side for the cartels. I mean, $50,000 really to execute a cop. I mean, but with that said, I mean, all that does is incentivize knuckleheads. I mean, I remember when the cartels had bounties on San Diego PD officers because of a shooting. I don't know if you guys remember the lieutenant that got in a shooting down in Baja.
Yes.
And he ran across the border with his family, and he left 2 bandits dead on the beach. And there was a bounty for San Diego cops down there for a short time because the bandits were related to some cartel members down there. So, I mean, I don't put it past them. I don't know how.
Doug, what year was that? Do you remember? Were you on the department when that happened?
Yeah, that was like in the that was
Late-
the 80s.
Late 80s, early 90s. Maybe
Yeah.
late 80s, yeah.
I was on the department in '88. I don't remember that. I heard the story, but in '88, I had never heard of it. But I heard the story.
Yeah, it may have been the mid to early 80s.
Yeah.
But he was a lieutenant down there camping on the beach with his family, and came back, and he was with his wife, his daughter, his son, and some guests. And he and his son were out. They were coming back, and his wife and daughter were being robbed, and he ended up shooting and killing them.
Yeah, took care of business. Yeah.
Left all the shit on the beach, and jumped in the motorhome and hauled ass north. Got back.
And it happened in Rosarito, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. Yeah. Okay, he fought them off. Yeah, Bob's saying
They
that.
put out a warrant for him too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Okay, looks like Rich is coming back on. Okay, Sean, what's your take on that?
you can't discount it. It's out there. I think that with that being said, you're going to have to find somebody that's going to try to take him up on it. What Doug was talking about earlier, it was 2 guys, they were undocumented, and they threw it out on TikTok. Hey, we'll pay you $50,000 to kill this Border Patrol chief. Besides the cartels, you also got Antifa, and they're as nuts as the day is long, and they're violent too. Okay, and you've got these people out there that are, like we've always said, they're 51, 49 and a half, and all it takes is this incentive, and they will go out and try to kill somebody in law enforcement. I mean, if you're watching what's going on around us right now in this nation, we're getting cops shot at left, right, and center.
Yeah, but Sean, we're talking about the Mexican cartels putting a bounty on DHS, FBI, federal officials.
Yes, I think you just like I said at the beginning, you can't discount it because someone's going to probably take them up on it.
Okay, Rich, you came back on. You lost us for a while. I think your internet's a little off, and I think your camera's off, but it's okay, brother. We could see you. We could hear you. What's your opinion? We had talked about it before coming on live on the show. What's your opinion on that? On the cartels? It's coming out, DHS and FBI's getting information, intel, that the cartels, Mexican cartels, are putting a hit on a bounty on DHS agents, ICE agents, and FBI federal agents. What's your take on that, Rich?
Well, when we started talking about putting them on the terrorist list, I'm sure that this would be something that came to mind. Now, because the cartels don't act in unison, I can't say that all the cartels are doing such a thing. Probably people in the cartels who would do so.
I think, are you still there, Rich? I think you just froze.
Oh, again?
There you are. There you are.
You're okay. You're okay. Okay. So you don't put it past them to put a bounty.
There's some cartel, like I say, they're not all the same. So there's probably leaders in the cartels, especially the youngsters.
Yes.
Juniors who would do that.
Okay. And the expert, Bobby, give us your professional opinion and experience.
Well, the doxing for sure. They're doing that. They're doing the doxing because they said they were talking about doxing, identifying, harassing the families. But then when you start wanting to kill a U.S. law enforcement at the direction of some cartel member in Mexico, because the people here, they're probably connected, but they don't send the pesados. The main pesados are not here. They send the juniors, some of the other family members and everything else. But it reminds me of when we were in Mexico. Before I deployed, I did 3 years there. We get a briefing, and they say pretty much they're going to know who you are. They're going to know where you live, and stay away from these areas we tell you not to go. In other words, don't go to their bars. Don't go. We lived in San Pedro Garcia in Monterrey. It looked like Scottsdale. It was really nice, and it was a safe area. But every now and then, something politically would happen in the city. We had a governor that was elected, and he was elected on a message, I'm going after the cartels. The day that he was elected, not even put in office yet, when they announced he had won, that weekend they killed, like 21 people were killed over the weekend, and they dropped 8 bodies in the area where all of us diplomatic community live, which is supposed to be safe, including one person 1 block from my house, in front of the house of one of the comandante's house, or in front of his mother's house. And it was like sending a message to us. They had bound and gagged this guy. So you always got to worry about a wild card, because you get these messages out. You know, it could be just some knucklehead from the street thinking, well, I'm going to do this. Because you see, we have the mentally ill people right now shooting at ICE agents with a rifle, sitting up at a point of elevation, shooting, and he hits the wrong people. And I think that's a part. And like I told you, when my son is a member of the California National Guard, he's a combat Marine, Iraq, Afghanistan, missed the Marine Corps, so went back in as a California National Guard. He was at Ground Zero when they got activated. He was activated for 7 weeks, and some of his guys were protecting the federal buildings, and another team was providing backup for ICE on these raids, because when they would show up, the word would get out they were getting surrounded. So a group of Marines are going out and just as crowd control. They weren't doing enforcement. They were just there as a force multiplier to make sure these guys are safe. And he said there are people out there with cameras. I mean, and eventually one of the guys, an FBI agent on the team that they were working with, got doxxed, and they were posting his address and picture where he lives and his family and everything. So it's interesting times we live in right now. But going back to the threat, it's all, you know, I would never put it past them. But like in Mexico, they would say if they come at us in Mexico, imagine what happened when Victor Avila was shot and Jaime Zapata was killed. All hell came down. They couldn't move. They lose money. They kill the assassin because hey, you guys didn't have the permission to do this, and it caused a lot of problems. And in Mexico, they say you usually are safe, but you got to worry about that wild card and somebody not recognizing our diplomatic plates, because that's probably what happened with Victor Avila when he was shot in San Luis Potosí. So I think the thing that you got to worry about is they could get this message could get out, and somebody could be high on dope or whatever, trying to make a name for himself. So we got to be careful, especially those guys that are on the front line. But to me, I think if they were to act on it, they got to know all hell would come down on them. It's like when we deal with the EME. The EME will put out threats, but you talk to the leadership. Hey, those are the young guys down there. We know we don't want to do something like that, because if we hit one of you guys, then you guys are not even going to let us breathe. But it's dangerous times right now. Like I said, my son was out there for 7 weeks, and he said these people are communists, straight up communists. You got the Antifa people who hate communists, but they join forces for a common belief. But he said these people look like they were very professional. They were funded. They were getting paid. Food shows up at a certain time, and they all eat off of food that's getting handed out, and they come back on the lines. So we need to start looking and investigating who is funding these people, and do like a RICO investigation, a long-term conspiracy investigation against the funders, because that's the only way we're going to slow this stuff down.
Go ahead, Doug.
It's one of those things. It's like I wouldn't put it past them to do that, but it's a disruptor. I mean, think about it. They're going to now we're going to take resources, or the government's going to take resources and put them elsewhere to protect other people. So you're disrupting the operations of these federal agencies by making these threats or promises. So it's one of those deals where, you throw it out there, and then I think recently, within the past week, I think it was Apple and Google took down an app about ICE operations, where you could get on the app and put in where ICE operations were, or where you saw an ICE operation, and that's how all those people were getting there so fast. So, that stuff is out there now. Whether the cartels are behind it or someone's just on Twitter or TikTok or whatever claiming to be, but it's definitely disrupting what's the operations of these agencies, and that's I think that's what the goal is.
Well, I'll tell you guys, I believe like Chris Kilby. You know what? I don't believe anything from the news anymore. It's all about divide and conquer. I still have 3 former informants. So when I worked for San Diego PD, these guys, I still maintain contact with them. 2 of them are probably still active. I'm not going to say they are, no, they're not. One of them is definitely not. When I heard this, I called all 3 of them. I called former Tijuana chief of police, talked to him. I talked to another that is very active right now throughout Mexico. I'm not going to say where they're at. And everybody that I have talked to on the Mexican side is saying it's a lie. And I go, well, you know what? It can happen. They go, listen, David, what happened with Kiki Camarena? You know what? When they killed Kiki Camarena, they shut the border down. Something that's never happened before. He goes, these guys, it's a business to them. He goes, it can happen. And he goes, and it's probably some nut that is giving the FBI ICE information because he wants a visa. So the information probably has been corroborated by somebody else that might want a visa. They go, it's a business. And these guys, yes, they're killers, yes, but at the end of the day, they know that if they threaten a U.S. officer, that all America will come and bombard Mexico. And that's the last thing that they want, anybody in Mexico wants. And so my opinion, you know what, once again, ABC, CNN, Fox, all of them, it's sensationalizing. You know what I mean? But does that mean that it's not going to happen or it didn't happen? I can't say it did or it did not. But what I can say that after working in Mexico, dealing with these guys, interviewing a lot of these cartel members, high level, medium level, it's a business. And the last thing that they would want to do is to basically kill a U.S. officer in America or target their family. Now, if it's true, you know what? We're just going to double up our forces, exactly what we're doing. But once again, sensationalizing. And guys, with that said, let's talk a little bit about China. Tell us about that article you wrote, and then we'll go back to this, guys, if you want, at the end of the show. Tell us about the article you wrote and where we're at with China, Rich.
Yeah, I wrote an article and I sent it to you. It's called America, the Drug Slave of China. And the reason I say that is because we are the largest consumer of illicit drugs, the United States. So we make money for the cartels, the Colombian cartels, the Mexican cartels, and with some geopolitical organizations. And in China, that's not their, beneficial societies and tongs and gangs all have a nexus to the Revolutionary Communist Party within China. So they can only operate with the tacit approval of China. And it's state sponsorship to do some of the things they do. So even the organizations that are operating here in the United States as Chinese businesses are sometimes hooked to these things. In the 1800s, China was found to be a good place to grow opium. And so the European powers forced China, against its will, to grow opium. And then the use of opium spread across the world. If you see the movie Tombstone, there are opium dens, and the bad guys use and then population also. And basically, it enslaves you. You know, you become an addict, and at opium to survive. So, but most of that money at that time was going to the like the East India Company and companies that operated in Europe. So why can't they do that here, right? So they're the main provider and purveyor of ephedrine, right? Heroin, opium. When I was in Vietnam, we raided this village, and the village was full of bricks of opium with Chinese communist markings. Okay, so they've been using this technique against us for a long time because society, you know, it reduces our work product, it breaks families, it corrupts systems. So they're utilizing that geopolitically and making money at the same time.
Yeah.
Not only do they do ephedrine, which is a main ingredient in methamphetamine and opiates, and then synthetic opiates like fentanyl, but a whole bunch of even pot. They have grows here in the United States operating illegally, huge ones, and they are chemically real smart about how to fertilize, and they're not restricted by what chemicals you can use on these products. So these products wind up in our system because they don't use it. They're selling it to us. And finally, the most insidious one I've seen that come out lately, you know, we had bath salts, and that was crazy. But now we have this 7, which is a chemical designation for an opiate, synthetic opiate, and this creates all kinds of havoc. The DEA tries to control these things under our system, but when they're synthetic is going to be banned, they have to have its chemical signature. Scientists and labs in China are able to change that signature by all molecular creating a salt of that product and then reintroducing it. So now we pass a law against a certain drug, but then some offshoot of the drug hits the street. But the scary part of that is it's actually available in your local 7-Eleven, you know, or gas station and the smoke shops, just like the synthetic marijuana. Remember when that came out? Because marijuana, it was sold in all these places. So these things are going on, and strangely, they seem to target rural areas. It's in New York, Massachusetts, Oklahoma, California, but they seem to like the rural areas. They usually set these things up outside of a military compound where there's been property for sale and have legitimate business names. But if you went to that place and you talk to somebody, they won't talk to you. They'll give you a phone and you're talking to somebody, a lawyer in New York or something. So all this stuff not only makes a huge amount of money, which they utilize for their own nefarious purpose, but also it's destroying us as a nation.
Yes.
I mean, we're getting destroyed by our addiction to drugs, and they know it. And so it's not the purpose is doing this because they know they weaken us all the way around when they do this. When we had the Colombian cartels called cocaine the poor man's atomic bomb. Why? Because they knew they could destroy America by producing this, selling it to us. So there's geopolitical reasons that these organizations go into an effect. And China has got away with it for a long, long time, because they have these fronts, these business fronts. They have these benevolent societies, these songs, the gang, and they operate in secret, and they're all tied back to.
You know, we have a question, actually a comment, a really good comment from Darren. The alphabet news agencies, which we know who they are, CIA, FBI, DEA, etc., don't want us to think. I don't think our problem is as much Mexico, Central, South America. I believe we are being exploited more by China. Why do you think, Rich? And we're going to go to you, Bobby. I know you're jumping at the bit because you're an expert when it comes to this. But why do you think the alphabet agencies don't target China more? And why don't we basically declare not a physical war, but China as a terrorist narcotic organization in America? Why, Rich?
I agree. If you're going to call the cartel, China's illegal activities that are operating in their organizations, they're terrorists as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, Dave, I was like,
Yeah.
Chris right here has got a good point where,
Yeah.
you know, I believe that like China, some of these old societies, China's been around forever. You know, some of these other groups are playing the long game. They have patience. They don't. It doesn't have to be done in their generation. It just get done, and they just keep pushing it forward. And we are an instant gratification nation. We can't think past tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't have the long game to fight the long game. We have a short game, and it's like Rich was saying, they're buying up all the farmlands around our military installations. How long have they been doing that? It's been decades. And
Yep.
it's just now become a problem because we're not forward thinking enough. They play that long game. They don't care if it takes a century. It's going to happen. And we don't have that mentality. We just don't.
Bobby, what's your opinion, Bobby?
Well, I think us as a country, our leadership, we tend to look the other way with our enemies, and we pretend they're our friends when we can make money off of them. Look at how much money we get from overseas to our universities. And what have they turned our universities into? They've turned our universities into indoctrination centers. Rich, you fought Vietnam. You fought communists on the battlefield. And now they proudly identify as communists and Marxists and Maoists at our universities, and we're okay with it. And they push this ideology that has failed everywhere in our universities. And how many how many students we have from China in our universities, and they pay a higher tuition. Wife had a class teaches at Arizona State. She had one class that almost every student in her class, she goes, I don't know how they do it. They don't speak English, but they got these computers and everything translates. And all these foreign students from different countries, a lot of them that are countries that really are hostile toward us, but we tend to look the other way because we're getting that tuition money and they're funding our universities. Tons of money comes into our universities while they get internships and go work at our at some of these IT places, and they're stealing our patents and everything else to send back. But us, somos tontos, we just look the other way. Oh, we'll shake their hand. We'll have, these dinners in DC and photo ops. And at the end, in the long term, they're stabbing us in the back. And I think the thing that really offends me is my uncles fought in Korea, well, in World War II, but in Korea and Vietnam against the communists. And you could go to any university. When I was in Mexico, I would go to USAID office in Mexico, go talk to a supervisor, and their supervisor had a lanyard with Che Guevara on a lanyard, and he was a U.S. employee. Black Lives Matter, Mao, and everything else. And this is our government. I mean, you would think that we would say, "Hey, get the hell out of here," but we're dying of suicide by ourselves instead of our enemies because we allow this to happen because money is coming in.
Bobby,
What's your opinion, Sean? and then we'll go to you once again.
Well, everything that Bobby has said is right on the money, and I look at it domestically. Last 5-6 years, it was defund the police. Defund, the police are the enemy. Black Lives Matter and all that. And now you see the shift with Trump being in office. Now it's let's go after ICE. Let's get rid of ICE. It's the same story. It's just a different day. But if you look at the characters that are behind all this, they're all anti-American. Period.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get through all this. The San Diego Union, I'd never thought about this, but the San Diego Union the other day, there was an op-ed in there comparing our nation at this time to the Troubles in Northern Ireland and how all that started. Okay. And we are in a political civil war right now with each other. If and look what's happening in Washington right now. They can't make a command decision about the economy right now. Funding the nation. This has gone on for 3 weeks.
Right.
Make a freaking decision.
But Sean, at the same time, we're giving Argentina $40 billion.
Right.
Well,
yeah,
exactly.
At the same time, and here we have a government freeze. But with that said, Doug, you wanted to jump in. Go ahead.
When Bobby was talking about the Che Guevara thing, we had a guy in our safe house place in Afghanistan. He was a contractor, but he was a facilities manager for some of the police academies there. And in his window of his hooch, he had a Che Guevara flag. And I'm like, okay, what is going on? I mean,
and he was a U.S. citizen. He was a U.S. citizen.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. U.S. citizen, hired by the government, is hired by the State Department to be the facilities managers at these police academies, these Afghan police academies, and he's a communist. I mean, think about it. Even the Taliban doesn't like communists. I mean, they fought them.
Yeah.
They fought to get rid of all those guys.
Yeah.
Right. And we're flying that flag in that country. I mean, I didn't understand it, but but nobody wanted to do anything because they didn't want to upset him because he was a good facilities manager, I guess. I don't know, but it was crazy.
Los Angeles' mayor was a member of Venceremos, Cuban radical organization.
Yes.
Running for there in New York, who's openly communist. And
unbelievable.
I have a friend that was in a kibbutz in Israel with a guy named Bernie Sanders, and he said he was a communist then. He's a communist now. They're running our country. They're in office.
Yeah.
And Rich, I said like before, you fought communists on the battlefield. They were an enemy, and now they walk around. They don't even have to hide it. They used to have secret meetings back in the day. Like they would have to walk around and do it in secret, and now they're out in the open. And like I said, our universities. When my son got back he got out of the Marine Corps. He got back and he had done combat deployments. He was at the University of Miami, or one of the universities there in Miami, going to school, and they brought some teacher in and started speaking in Miami with all these Cubans there, and they about had a riot in the classroom because was talking about how good Marxism is and all this other stuff, and was blasting. And at the time, all these veterans were getting their GI Bill and going to school. My son wasn't the only veteran in there, and my son was like, Dad, what is this about? I don't know. How could this even happen? And it's the brainwashing that happens. But like I said, I think that concerns me is the money that's coming in from all this overseas money, and they do not have good intentions. They and then these universities are taking this money. They look the other way, and they allow these instructors, these professors with tenure, to just spew all this hatred And finally, right now, they're kicking some out. Or we have people here that are on student visas that are leading some of these protests. Literally calling for death of people, and they're here on visa. So now we're starting to kick them out. But this is just something new. And it's very dangerous.
And
you know what, Bobby? This isn't new. I mean, we go to the 60s. These universities, that's one of the things that I believe, like Chris says, you know what? China's playing chess. Well, we're playing checkers. There is no doubt at all. Now they're trying to take over America through drug addiction, etc. I believe that they have been involved from the very beginning in our universities. This isn't new. We're starting to see the end result. But go ahead, Rich. You were going to say something.
I was just going to say that, like you said, that this has been going on since the Vietnam War.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think you're going to find that if you follow that money, like you were talking about, that's going to take you back to these drug groups who are funding some of this stuff through money they make from selling poison to us.
Yeah.
You know what, guys? We got a great question from John G. I think he's your buddy. Did he work with you, John G, Bobby? Because he called you a true hero earlier today. Do you know John G? Bobby?
I'm not sure who. I don't know. I've been trying to figure out who he is, but I think my Alzheimer's has been kicking in.
He probably worked with you. He'll tell us right now, probably Phoenix PD. But great question. Thoughts on Qatar being allowed to build a base in Idaho? Well, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Rich, we'll start off with you. What's your opinion on that?
Well, nobody should be building a military base. It just makes us more vulnerable. And they may be our ally now, but what about 5 years from now or 6 years from now?
Yeah. And they were the ones that gave us the plane, right?
Well, they want to give us the plane for
Air Force One.
Yeah. Okay. So that's why we tell our cops when they're going through the academy, don't accept a cup of coffee, right? Right? Yeah. Well, go ahead, Doug.
I don't think they're building a base. I think it's a base. We're already there. And they're gonna occupy a part of it for training purposes. And we do that with other nations already.
Yeah, we're over there.
So, I don't necessarily agree with it, but I think it's got blown out just a little bit. They're not building anything. I think my biggest concern is that we keep selling these nations our shit. We've got the best planes, the best tanks, but we're selling, and they're like, oh, well, we don't give them this piece of equipment. Well, how long is it going to take them to figure that piece of equipment out? And then we're training them. We're training them how to fight like we fight.
Okay.
So we got our pilots. We got. I may be biased, but we probably got the best fighter pilots there are in the Navy and the Air Force by far.
Without a doubt. And we're going to train them in our tactics. How stupid is that? Yeah. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. I'm sorry. I don't understand it. And I quite frankly, I don't want a bunch of Qatari military guys flying fucking planes around because
airspace.
On 9/11, none of those planes had any armament on it. They just flew into buildings and killed thousands of people. What's all it takes is some nutball to do the same thing. I'm sorry I went off on that, but I don't agree with it. I think it's stupid.
You know what? There's two movies that I've seen in the past year. Oh, actually, there's three. Yeah. And there's an underlying message in each one of these movies. The first one was Delta Force. And you got to really watch what the guy, one of the actors that played the terrorist said about the Americans. And then the second one was Red Dawn.
Well, I thought you were going to say Dumb and Dumber, Sean.
No,
Dumb and Dumber, right?
No, that's a whole different. Yeah, that's how our nation is right now. And the third one was a British movie called The Final Option. And just watch it. It's all about all three of these are about terrorism. And listen to what the guys the actors that are playing the terrorists say about the United States. and how the whole thing went, like with the final auction, it was a foreign entity that was funding all these protesters and these terrorist organizations. We're just too, like Chris said, we're playing checkers and everybody else is playing chess.
And follow the money. Go ahead, Bobby. Go ahead, Bobby. Yeah.
Died to talk to my son-in-law about this Qatar. I actually called, but he's doing some training. My son-in-law is a recently promoted colonel in the Air Force, and he's an F-35 fighter pilot. And they were in Germany, but they're in DC now. And I know he will hold back, but I talked to my daughter just today about it. She says, you got to get out of here. You can talk to Dick about it. And well, we'll see. I was like, I was supposed to be out there a couple of weeks ago, but when the school at the LA at the Palm Springs, but I had a slip and messed up my shoulder, my ribs, and decided to stay. Still can't barely raise my arm right now, but I'm really curious to see what he says about it, because he was here at Luke Air Force Base, and they trained fighter pilots on the F-16s and the F-35s from all over. I've gone to parties for promotions, and there's Norwegians, there's people from Israel, the IDF, Moroccans, they're all here. But for them to build that base here, and I'm like, I don't know, that didn't feel right to me.
It doesn't sit right.
Doesn't sit right, but I'm going to have to talk to him about it and see what he says.
China.
Yeah.
Who steals our technology more than any other country?
China.
Right.
So they're using our technology to advance their own. If we go to war with them ever, or even a minor conflict, I mean, they're gonna, like you say, they're playing checkers. I mean, we're playing checkers, they're playing chess. They're gonna beat us at our own technology.
Oh yeah.
Hey, Rich, so what's the solution? I mean, right now we're attacking these, or we're bombarding these boats that are coming out of Venezuela. But yet, I don't know if it's true or not. But like I said, I don't believe the news. But China is heavily involved in Venezuela. They're there. Russia is there. And Bobby, correct me if is it the fake news or is it real? Are they really there? If China is trying to take over America through drug addiction, what is our response, Rich? And then we'll go around the room. What is our response, Rich?
Well, I'm a believer in RICO, just like you mentioned earlier, that we need to follow that money and shoot them on the highest level. Not just be satisfied with 200 kilos. We need to go after the people that are actually funding and operating the system all the way to the top. And these nations need to have lose their most favored nation status with the United States and be restricted through tariffs or some other means until they realize that it's not worth it to do this to us.
Yep.
Doug?
I agree with Rich. I mean, we're always going to have the issues with diplomatic shit, right? You're going to have a diplomat, and he's going to have immunities, whatever, if he's on the country. But with that said, we can still indict. You indict and you make it uncomfortable for them, and you even go to the go to the international courts and get arrest warrants internationally. So, one day maybe a nation will take the guy into custody. Who knows? But you've got to keep the pressure on him and make it uncomfortable. And if we spend a lot of money doing those investigations, you make it uncomfortable for people to work for them. It's like these guys in the boats. So we're blowing up these boats. I mean, pretty soon boat drivers are going to be saying, I don't know if I want to go on a boat. They keep blowing up the boats.
I want to be the boat mechanic. I want to be the boat mechanic. I'm not going out there.
I'm not going. I'm not doing that. So. And they'll adjust. They'll change their tactics, obviously, but you keep the pressure on them so that they have to change their tactics. We don't change ours; they change theirs. And I agree with Rich on that. The RICO, I think, is a very powerful thing internationally. If we do that, and you just blast them. Social media is the way to go anymore. Forget the alphabet soup media that they were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
go to social media. you're going to get more people reading your articles on social media than ever any place else. So I would do that. I would just make it really uncomfortable for them and target those folks. And you seize their banks. You seize their accounts in the United States.
That's it.
They got, okay, you may be sitting fat and dumb in China, but we're going to take all your money that you got in the States. And you know what? Great Britain, France, Germany, we suggest you seize their monies too in your banks. Otherwise, we're going to do we're going to put higher tariffs on you. That's how politics works internationally. They're bad guys. The international world's got to take action. That's just how it works.
Yeah.
Sean, your opinion.
Doug just hit it on the, just stole my thunder. I think it's all about money. Look what we did to Iran. They're hurt right now. They want to talk now. They want to be our friend. Why? Because we took their money away from them. And they're hurting. That's where you hit these countries. You take our money away from them. And going back to what you said about the cartels and stuff, I'm surprised that Venezuela hasn't put out a hit on any of these guys, because we're blowing up their boats left, right, and center. So,
Bobby, your opinion.
Well, you guys hit all the sweet spots, but another thing that I wanted to hit on is all these people, all these countries that hate us. They hate, as we say, hablan mierda y medio about us, but they all want that visa to come visit the U.S. Yes. Start canceling visas. We just did that with 50 people from politicians, and when I was in Mexico,
yes,
I had to meet these mayors, these governors, and generals, and some of these people were hostile toward us. They couldn't stand just because I was an American. And I mentioned the story. We had a general that refused to meet with me, and I needed to get his approval for something. And I knew he was there. I developed a contact within his office and told me every time he's there, he just won't come out. So we kind of quietly waited till the holidays, and when his kids were coming from Harvard to Christmas holidays, we had their visas yanked, and now they couldn't go back to school. And immediately the guy starts blowing up my phone. He was blowing up DEA's phone, and we finally got him to come down. And you take their visas away, that's a status symbol for them. Oh, I could go to the U.S. on vacation, voy para las compras in the U.S. and this and that. You take that away, that hurts them. And start limiting visas from these countries. Either stop them or really put a limit on them. We need to start vetting if you would see how we grant those visas, when somebody shows up to the consular visa off or to the consular bureau, there's like 30 windows, 20 windows, and the person on the other side is someone that just got out of university. It's an entry-level position for U.S. Department of State. And I think they got like 2 minutes of these questions they have to ask, and then they decide yes or no. And I would put retired cops there that can spot bullshit, because you get some of these guys.
All right.
You get some of these people that just got out of university with no life experience. And when I was in Monterey, we had a consular, what is it called? The general, the CG, the consul. He was the
Consulate General.
Consulate General.
Yeah.
He was part of the LGBT community. He put word out of preference for LGBT couples getting visas to the U.S. Wow. He literally put that out. And but I think we need to also, obviously, the visa, track the money, but start really working on yanking those visas. It's a status symbol for them.
Yeah. Well, buddy, that guy that I think it was the superintendent, Des Moines, Iowa school superintendent.
Yeah.
He was here on a student visa, and he had a deportation hearing not too long ago, and he never showed up. He's running this. He's a school superintendent.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, guys, you know what? Our worst enemies amongst us. I can't believe it's already an hour. It seemed like it went like 15 minutes, 5 minutes. Rich, thank you from the bottom of our heart, brother. Thank you for sharing that great article. Are you going to publicize that article? Is it going to go in a certain magazine, Rich? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I submitted East Magazine, but there's a couple of things I wanted to save that got touched there. We need to push for more international cooperation and Interpol to help things. And the other thing is, did you know this 70H is made in flavors like lemon and watermelon? And who's that targeting?
Young kids.
Kids.
Yeah. And you know what, Rich? When I read your article, I'd not heard of the 70H. Now, I did know about the bath salts, because at Central Division, we had the first case that we came up with. The guy, he was a Navy guy. He broke out all the windows of his apartment, and come to find out he was doing bath salts. And I went to narcotics and said, do you guys know anything about this bath salts? And they'd never heard of anything about that. And then, you go back to Calgon. Remember Calgon, the bath salts?
Yeah.
The commercial, Calgon, come and take me away. The Wonder Mom came out of the bathroom all high and shit. She was doing bath salts. But yeah, all this, I've never heard of this 70H.
Yeah. Rich, once again, brother, thank you from the bottom of my heart. With that said, Doug, any last words for Rich?
Hey, Rich, thanks for coming on. Last minute like that, we appreciate it. We'll have to bring you back again another time. We'll talk about some of your infamous cases that you've talked about in the past, and I've enjoyed seeing you at conferences over the years. So it's good to see you again, my friend.
Good to see
Big Sean, any words for Rich?
Yeah, good to see you again, Rich, and good to see you in person at the conference. Love you, bro.
Love you.
Bobby, last word for Rich?
Thanks for bailing us out, because you really bailed us out. I was going to do a sock puppet recreation of a gang fight in the prison system. So I was really looking forward to it too. But anyway.
You'll do it if what's his name, Faisal, doesn't show up. We'll do it then.
Hey, maybe we could get the couples together and get at least more than two people going at it.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll have a big gang fight. Hey, Rich, thank you, brother. Thank you. We love you, man, from the bottom of our heart. And you know what? You're our giant, man. Thank you. God bless you. Happy holidays. And hopefully we'll see you soon, brother. Prayers for you and your family. Gracias.
Thanks, Rich. Good seeing you.
Thank you. God bless you. Man, what a giant. You know what I mean? What a giant. What a legend. Bobby, tell us who we have next week.
Next week we have Johnny Vasquez, retired Phoenix police detective. And he was the closest thing I had to a training officer when I got to narcotics. We did a lot of work with DEA. When I got to narcotics, he was the guy that was doing all the kilo cocaine buys and multi-pedazo heroin buys and all that other stuff. I learned a lot from him, and he did gangs and eventually retired, and really excited about having him join us next week.
And guys, next week on the Great Line, we have Bob Lopez. You see him. He's always coming on, giving us props or giving his advice. He's been on tonight. The guy's a legend with San Diego PD. And I know, Bob, I always say you were a detective. I've never confused you with the other Bob Lopez. Never would insult you that way, my brother. You are, without a doubt, a legend. We can't wait to hear your life story next week. If you guys get a chance, please watch next week at 6 o'clock on the Gray Line. This man is a true legend with San Diego PD, and you'll find out why. I'm not going to say any more about him, but a true legend. With that said, Bobby, last words, brother.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed the program, make sure you hit like and share, and we'll see you next week.
Big Sean.
Hey, great show tonight. And again, always watch what's going on around you and be aware of your surroundings and be safe.
Doug.
Thanks for watching again. Hey, and if any of you guys watching us or watch us later on, if you know of somebody that has a great story or that you think would be a great guest, send us a line. We've got a lot of contacts, but there's a lot of guys and gals out there that have tremendous stories that we'd like to share. And we and if you have a few that you'd like to send our way, please send them our way.
And you know what? John G., tell us about his father, Bobby. Do you remember his father? John G., he mentioned him.
No, I worked with that task force. There was there at that time that he mentioned. I was working narcotics. I was working a lot of undercover stuff. So I did a lot of task force work with groups south of us because we were using them for cover when we were doing. We did some money flashes down south, and we did a lot of face-to-face negotiating with suspects down there when I was doing a lot of work with DEA. So I know the unit he's talking about because that was the time that I was there.
And John G., if you want to come on, you talked about going TDY. I guess you were a federal worker in the consulate. Please let us know. We'll put our email up. We would love to have you on. And I agree with Doug. We need more from you, our listeners. Tell us who you want on. With that said, like I always say, live a purpose-driven life. Live every day like it's your last day on earth, and make every second, every minute, every day count by making a positive difference. We're always sheepdogs. Thank you. God bless you. We'll see you next week.
Used to spend my nights out in ballroom. Liquor was the only love I'd known. But you rescued me from reaching for the bottom and brought me back, being too far gone. You're as smooth as Tennessee whiskey.